All right, let's dive into this 2025 GMC Canyon. We've got a whole bunch of reviews and specs lined up so we can really get a good feel for this truck.
Yeah, a complete redesign this year. A lot of buzz around this one.
Okay, so first impressions. How's this thing handle? On-road, off-road, the whole deal.
You know, it's funny. The steering keeps coming up in reviews. People seem to really love that precise feel, especially off-road.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference on those tricky trails.
Yeah, definitely. Feeling confident behind the wheel is key, especially when you're off the beaten path. And then there's that engine, 310 horsepower, turbocharged. Not bad at all.
No, not bad at all. 700 pounds of towing capacity, too.
Pretty impressive. Although something I was thinking about, no diesel or hybrid option. Wonder if they're missing out on something there. Especially these days, with everyone focused on fuel efficiency.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they're just betting on their target market wanting that raw power, more than saving a few bucks at the pump.
Could be. Speaking of fuel economy, we don't have the official numbers for the 2025 yet, but looking at the 2024, it wasn't exactly a standout in its class.
Right, pretty middle of the pack.
Okay.
At a pretty big difference between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then if you go for like the AT4X package, you're looking at 16 miles per gallon.
Ooh. Okay, so maybe not the best for fuel economy. What about the inside? How's the interior?
Front row seems pretty comfortable. Good amount of space.
And I've heard the back seats are a bit tight.
Yeah, a little cramped.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got adults back there.
Yeah.
Especially in a long drive.
Yeah, that's a common issue with these smaller trucks.
It is, but some competitors, they do a little better in that department.
Good to know. But hey, at least the cargo space seems great.
Oh yeah, that bed is a good size.
5'2".
Yeah.
Almost 42 cubic feet of space back there.
Plus they've got some nice features to make loading and unloading easier.
Right, like that easy lift tailgate.
Exactly.
Definitely a nice touch. And you can haul a good amount too.
1,650 pounds max payload.
So plenty of muscle for hauling. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the value. U.S. News gave the 2025 Canyon a below-average value rating.
Yeah, that caught my eye too. Their system takes into account not just the sticker price, but things like depreciation, fuel costs, maintenance, all that.
Makes sense.
So let's break down the starting prices. For each trim level.
Okay, so elevation trim, just under $40,000.
Okay.
AT4, around $47,000.
Gotcha.
And then for the Denali, you're looking at about $53,600.
Wow, that Denali jumps up there. Seems like the elevation might be the sweet spot for people who want a good balance of features and price.
Yeah, could be. Especially since they do offer those additional packages you can add on.
Right, good point. Okay, safety and tech, what's the story there?
So overall, the 2025 Canyon got 4 out of 5 stars from NHTSA for safety, which is pretty good.
That's solid.
But it did get a 3-star rollover rating.
Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely something to be aware of.
But on the plus side, it does come standard with forward collision warning, lane keep assist. Those are good to have.
And as for the tech, seems like the infotainment system is pretty impressive.
Yeah, reviewers are liking it. Nice interface, sharp visuals.
Good to hear.
Most of the controls are pretty straightforward, too. Although some things you do have to dig through the menus a bit.
Okay, good to know. At least the voice recognition seems to work well.
Yeah, seems pretty responsive.
And of course, you've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all the usual stuff.
Yeah, they've got all the bases covered there.
Okay, so we've talked about the Canyon itself, but what about the competition? How does it stack up?
Right, well, you've got the Tacoma, of course, the Colorado, the Ridgeline, and the Santa Cruz.
That's a pretty diverse group.
Yeah, each one has its own strengths.
So the Tacoma, that's the one known for its reliability, right?
Yeah, legendary reliability.
Right.
And it consistently gets praised for its fuel efficiency and off-road capabilities.
Makes sense. And the Colorado, that's basically the Canyon's twin, right?
Yeah, mechanically they're very similar.
Right.
But the Colorado usually comes in at a slightly lower price point.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so what about the Ridgeline? How's that one different?
Well, the Ridgeline is known for its smooth ride and its spacious interior. More car-like driving experience.
More of a comfortable cruiser, then.
You could say that.
And the Santa Cruz.
That one's kind of a unique case. Blurs the lines between truck and SUV.
Interesting.
Stylish design, good fuel economy, handles more like a car.
But the bed is smaller, right?
Yeah, noticeably smaller than the Canyons.
So a lot of different options out there, each with its own pros and cons.
It really comes down to what you're looking for in a truck,
Right.
what your priorities are.
Makes sense. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's still more to explore. We'll be right back after a quick break. to dive deeper into the Canyon's design and all those cool features. Stay tuned.
Yeah, lots of options out there.
But even with all the competition, there's just something about the Canyon that keeps pulling me back in.
It's got that, I don't know, that id factor, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's the looks. That rugged, adventurous vibe.
Speaking of looks, let's talk design. This new Canyon, the whole different animal.
Yeah.
Sharp lines, that bold grille. It just looks so athletic.
It does. It's like, ready for anything.
And GMC is offering a ton of different colors.
Yeah.
And wheel options this time around.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. You can really personalize it, make it your own.
And they really stepped up their game with the interior, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big improvement over the previous generation. Higher quality materials, more modern design.
Sounds good. But we did talk about those back seats being a little cramped.
Right. That's still a bit of an issue.
Especially if you're planning on having passengers back there regularly.
Yeah, definitely something to consider.
But for people who prioritize cargo space over passenger space?
That Canyon bed is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's not just about size either. They've got some really smart features.
Right, like that easy lift tailgate.
Exactly. It makes such a difference.
Especially when you're loading
Yeah.
heavy stuff.
And did you see? They even have an available in-bed power outlet now.
Oh, wow. That's a nice touch.
Super convenient. Yeah, those little details can really make a big difference. And of course, the Canyon's got all the latest tech. That infotainment system is packed.
Yeah, they didn't skimp on that. That 11.3-inch touchscreen is beautiful.
It is. And the wireless, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto just makes everything so seamless.
Yeah, no more messing around with cords. And they've got you covered for staying connected on the go, too. Built-in Wi-Fi hotspot.
So you're always online. Let's circle back to performance for a second. We talked about the engine, but what about the transmission? How does that feel?
The 8-speed automatic seems to be getting good reviews. Smooth, responsive, does a good job of delivering that power.
That's good to hear. I've also heard the Canyon handles surprisingly well for a truck.
Yeah, I've seen that mentioned too. Seems like the suspension is well-tuned. Good balance of comfort and control.
So you can take it off-road, but it's still comfortable on the pavement.
Exactly.
And for the serious off-roaders, there's the AT4X trim.
Oh yeah, that one's decked out.
Locking differentials, lifted suspension, even a Baja drive mode.
Yeah, they really went all out with the AT4X.
Sounds like it can handle anything you throw at it.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we've talked performance, design, tech, off-road capability. Let's touch on fuel economy again.
Right. So, as we said before, the official EPA numbers aren't out yet.
But based on the 2024?
We're expecting it to be about average for its class.
Not the best, not the worst.
Exact.
And of course it'll depend on the trim level and drivetrain you choose.
Right. If you're really focused on MPGs, the two-wheel drive elevation might be the way to go.
Good point. Okay, and lastly, price. We know this thing can get pricey, especially if you start adding options.
You can.
Any tips for getting a good deal?
Well, always shop around,
Yeah.
compare prices from different dealerships,
Good advice.
and see if there are any manufacturer incentives or rebates available.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And don't be afraid to negotiate.
Absolutely. A little haggling can go
Yeah.
a long way.
So we've talked about performance, design, tech, fuel economy, price. But what about reliability? Is there anything we can glean from the 2024 model or previous generations?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, we don't have any predicted reliability scores for the 2025 yet.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But we can look at the track record of previous generations to get some idea of how this one might hold up.
That's a good idea.
And checking out consumer reviews and forums could be helpful too.
Yeah, see what real-world owners are saying about their experiences.
Exactly.
Okay, so still some things to uncover about the 2025 Canyon, but we're out of time for today. We'll have to save the rest for another deep dive.
I'll be able to pick this up again sometime.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. All right, so we're back. Our deep dive into the 2025 GMC Canyon, almost at the finish line.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have. Performance, fuel economy, design, features, the competition.
Even touched on reliability a bit.
So before we wrap up, let's recap. What are the key takeaways here? What do people really need to know about this truck?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the 2025 Canyon is a solid truck. It's capable, it's stylish, it's got a good mix of performance, comfort, and technology.
Yeah, definitely. It's got that go-anywhere attitude, that
Yeah.
powerful engine, the confident handling, and those interior upgrades are nice.
Much improved over the previous generation.
Of course, no truck is perfect, There are some things to consider.
Right, like we talked about, those back seats are a bit tight.
Yeah, not ideal for long trips, with adults in the back.
And the fuel economy isn't exactly class-leading.
And then there's that value rating.
Below average, according to U.S. News.
So I gotta weigh those pros and cons.
See if the Canyon's strengths align with your needs.
Exactly. So for anyone still on the fence, here's a question for you. Which trim level or package appeals to you the most?
Is it the Elevation, the AT4, the Denali?
Or maybe one of those AT4X packages.
Think about how you'd use the truck, your budget, your preferences.
We've given you the information. Now it's up to you to do a little more research and see if the Canyon is the right truck for you.
The best truck is the one that fits your lifestyle.
Well said. All right. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and happy truck hunting.
We'll see you next time.